Brilliant. What's up, Chicago? All right, let's make this official. Good people of Rosemont, which is nowhere near Chicago, and the surrounding counties, big warm welcome for Mr. Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki.
Hi, guys. Gals. Anybody been outside recently? Y'all have some jacked up weather here for April.
I'm not convinced it's not HBO. I feel like Game of Thrones today. Winter is here.
They're trying to upstage us and the Star Wars convention.
Yeah.
One fell swoop.
Yeah, some crazy weather. You guys have interesting spring showers. We're stoked to be here. Glad we got here before the weather did. Not sure if we're getting out, but we're stoked to be here. So, what's that? Party? Yeah, yeah. You got a place? Perfect.
Nobody. It's way too far north for mi casa, su casa. We say that kind of stuff in Texas. This is like, my house is your house, eh? Eh? My house, eh, is your Canadian thing.
What are we in Moose Jaw? We're in
so.
Illinois.
There's a lake or something. Yeah, it's a little nuts. Anybody else running the Boston Marathon tomorrow at 6 a.m.?
Oh, no.
Not anybody.
Intelligent people.
Yeah. It's going to be like planes, trains, and automobiles.
You might not be.
I might not be. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Whatever's safe.
Been a lot of canceled flights.
Been a lot of canceled flights. But we'll keep our hopes high.
But we're here.
Yeah. Hell yeah. You fine folks and folkettes.
He's trying to talk us into a pajama watching party tonight. I don't.
What's wrong with clean pajamas? What is wrong with clean pajamas? Thanks for waiting around a little bit. Without further ado, let's get to some questions. You guys have been very, very patient. Hi. Good afternoon.
You can step right on up to that microphone. It does not bite. No, it's just, there you go.
The biting one's on that side.
Yeah.
You walked right past the mic. Wait.
I had my eyes on a different microphone. Sorry.
Yeah. That would be yours. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great.
Okay. I forgot I don't have to yell. It's a microphone. My question is this. Since you guys are, kind of tying up some loose ends, do you think you'll do any behind the scenes? Will you direct this season, 15?
I will not.
Yes, as I understand, I will be directing this upcoming season. And as far as behind the scenes stuff goes, I would imagine we haven't heard anything or signed off on anything, but I would imagine going into the final season that there will be a lot of BTS things going on. What those are, I don't know yet, but I'm sure the publicity department over at the network and the studio are all kind of putting their heads together and trying to cook up some ideas. So
yeah, I know that I personally have seen. I've run into a dozen or so family and friends since season 14 wrapped. And I think every single person was like, hey, so we were talking about coming to Vancouver this year. We'd love to see the set. It's your last season. I'm like, we've done 14 seasons. You didn't want to ask another, I think I could have 10 people show up every single day and not go through any repeats. Everybody I know is like, hey, last season, we can come up and visit, right? Like, seriously? Like, now? Now? It's like my mom. I tease her every time she comes up to visit. We'll have this great weekend, and, they're playing with the kids, and we're all hanging out. And then as we're saying our goodbyes, they're driving back to San Antonio, she's like, oh, by the way, I have these 15 autographs for you to sign. They're like, bye, Mom. Mom, you've been here for 72 hours. You could have said, hey, not during emotional goodbyes. So I think we'll have I know there are a lot of people that want to see kind of the making of season 15, myself included. So, yeah, we'll try and make sure that happens. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
Great.
Excellent. So the last episode ended with Mary getting her initials carved into the table. I just wanted to know if Cass is ever going to get to do that.
He's not a Winchester.
Yes, he is.
What would it be, JN? What would his initials be?
CW, Cass Winchester.
No. No, that's our network. His initials would have to be his vessel that he killed. Jimmy Novak. It'd have to be JN. What?
I'm sorry, who are we talking about?
The funny one.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, we're going to bring Adam back for AW, CW, all the W's. The what? JW. Yeah, my favorite Marriott. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He'd have to do it himself, so it depends on whether or not Cass wants to defile one of our pieces of furniture. Again.
Imagine we walk into the Middle Letters one day and it's like every character's name has been carved into the table. And it's just, it's like a guest book.
Woman in White, Winchester.
Had a great time. Thanks, guys. See you next year.
July 3rd.
We wish you all the best.
Thanks for the prime rib.
Yeah. I used to have one of those guest books. We had it like in the front entryway of our house, like on the little table thing. I don't know what the name of it is. Yeah, the table thing. I think that's proper. But on the front of it, it just had a phrase. It said, guest book, and then it said, guests are like fish. They begin to smell after 3 days. Worked. Yeah. People would leave. They'd get the message as soon as they walked through the door. We talked in my meet and greet about just that image of the SWDW, and now that's changed, because that was such kind of an iconic image for quite a long time, to just have those two initials carved together and the way that they were carved, and now that's kind of been, we'll say, added to. If that changes kind of what that image means a little bit, and apparently some people were conflicted about it. I guess I am too, because I loved what that meant, but I also love what it means to have Mom there now. It was kind of like the memory of her will never die, kind of a thing. Yeah. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, I bet in the next season there's going to be a lot of those iconic images of the show brought up and maybe messed with, because that makes for some good entertainment, in my opinion. So, yeah, it probably won't be the last.
I think you should sign the underside of the table. That way it's like, hey, guess what?
Or like the chair, one of the chairs, so that's like easily removable. No, but then easily brought back if like. Sam, Cass is here. Get the chair. Put it back. Oh, hey, Cass. How's it going? Yeah, no, it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to figure it out. Thanks.
Time will tell. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, hey, Cass.
We didn't mean it. We didn't mean it.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Thanks, asshole.
Hello. I was wondering if there was any question that you never get asked or you really wish someone would ask, if you could please tell us what that is and then answer it.
My brain hurts. If there was a question...
Jared, does your brain hurt?
I always hoped somebody would ask me that. Yes, it does. Funny you should ask.
I thought so. Your expression gave it away.
What? Jensen, what made you think to ask that?
I'm glad you asked.
Is there a question other than what question is your favorite question that's never been a question as well? Well said.
That wasn't what I didn't ask what your favorite question is. I asked what question you wish you would get asked that you never do.
How do you know that's not my favorite question then? So you don't want my favorite question, just a question. I can tell you what question I never want asked.
Yeah, that's a longer list. Question. I don't know. We've been asked a lot of questions, not just at events like this, but by reporters, by friends, family. I don't know that there's a question out there that I'm dying for somebody to ask me. And if there was, I'm not sure that I'd have the answer. Like, where does the end of the universe lie?
I'm not going to tell you.
See, now my brain hurts. Let me turn it on you. Is there a question that you've always wanted to have been asked and never have been asked?
Possibly.
Like, why would you choose that character to dress up as?
Actually, now that you mention it, I would like to answer that question. It's because I relate very strongly to that character, and it's very meaningful to me.
That's a great answer.
There you go.
And I'm glad I asked that question.
That was the ultimate. That was the ultimate in reverse psychology. It was like
somehow I feel like I lost in that whole situation, but
it was.
But I'm okay with it because that was a great answer.
I think we've just been programmed as married men that are fathers. And your wife comes and says, "Hey, what do you want for dinner? I want to have what you want." And you go, I don't know. What do you want for dinner? I want McDonald's. Okay, let's go. You're like, damn it! How did I fall for that again?
Or more like this. What do you think you're doing? What do you think I'm doing? That's.
Stop. Whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Birthday girl.
How did you know that?
Oh, well.
Word travels.
No, I didn't have any question for you. I just wanted to thank you for 15 years of wonderful TV and how delighted I am. And thank you for being here this birthday weekend with so many other birthdays happening.
Well, thank you, and thank you for sticking with us for so long and being, such a champion and part of this family. It's we constantly are humbled and inspired by this fandom, and it's certainly one of the major reasons that we've gone this long. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emily, and I have 2 theater performances going on next week, and you both are phenomenal actors. So I was wondering if you had any acting advice for someone that is going into like the main show. Like,
you're the most recent to do theater for sure.
Don't actually break your leg. This is a common misconception among new actors. Like, everybody's really wishing me, like, ill here. They want me to break things. No. Have fun. Enjoy. You're going to be nervous. Use it.
I think instead of worrying about trying not to mess up, know that there is going to be some sort of quote-unquote mess roll with it. There's no, from my days back when I did plays and whatnot in school many years ago, you're so nervous that something unexpected is going to happen that you basically sit there focusing on, like, when is something unexpected going to happen, and you force something unexpected to happen, as opposed to knowing that something's going to happen that you didn't rehearse and just going with it. So wait for that moment and embrace it, as opposed to being sort of hesitant for it to happen. Somebody
asked me in the meet and greet, they said, why do you do what you do? And I thought about it for a second, and I replied with, because it makes me feel alive. You're gonna have butterflies in your stomach. That they're gonna call everyone to their first positions. The curtain call is gonna happen, and you're gonna get really nervous. Like, that's just going to happen. Understand that, but also understand that that's beautiful. Like, that's you feeling alive, and embrace that and remember it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Break a leg.
So I want to know, what was your favorite prank that you guys played on somebody else on cast, either on set or off set?
He gets a little bit more grand with his pranks than I tend to just subtly, yeah, we're more opportunists than we are planning pranksters.
I think I still laugh at, there are two that stick out in my head. One is when Misha kicked us off set, and the other is when Nina kicked us off set for making Alex laugh.
Although recently he was kicked off of the set because Misha couldn't get his coverage because he was messing with Misha so bad, and he was kicked out of the room, not off the soundstage, but just out of the room, and I'm reading opposite Misha, giving my lines, somebody else is giving Jared's lines, and I'm off camera, and Misha's giving his performance, and I look behind him, and the door that Jared had walked out of is about 15, 20 feet behind Misha, and I just look. I look over Misha's shoulder, and here comes Jared army crawling back onto set. And the whole crew can see this. Misha cannot.
Yet.
And so Misha then looks like a different direction, and I lean into our camera operator's ear, and I'm like, tilt down, tilt down. And so, so the camera goes down, finds Jared doing this. So now everybody back at Video Village that's not in the room is now seeing this on the monitors, Jared crawling back towards like a shark in the water.
Because I had to be below the frame.
Right. And so it tilts back up, and Misha continues, and then you just see the, and I don't know what, you grab his like Achilles tendon or something?
No, I grabbed the inside of his leg.
Oh. Right.
It's a little love pinch.
As you do. Where's the tenderest spot?
Yeah.
There were markings on both of their bodies by the time we were done filming this scene, and it looked like they'd gone to some like odd bondage party,
which we did later, but
right, which just mixed with the bruises that you actually had from the bondage party.
That's the funny thing, is that later we did a different scene, and it was now my coverage that Misha wasn't in. And so I'm sitting there and chatting. All of a sudden I feel fingers behind like the inside upper part of my arm. And I'm like, oh, it's, okay, I deserve this. I know I deserve this. So I'm going to keep on going. And it took like breathing exercises to try and not break, like a tear rolls
Meanwhile,
down.
he's performing. Like he's delivering lines as Sam Winchester, and just through excruciating pain. And he showed me his arm afterwards. It looked like he'd been flogged.
Yeah. And the next day I'm in a t-shirt, and Tom was like, Daddy, what's in your arm? I was like, long story. I'd rather not tell you.
Work's tough, kid. So again, the pranks are not big and elaborate, like some would like to think. They're just it's target practice. Anytime we find a target, we just start pranking.
Thank you.
But he is certainly committed. I mean, to come back in on all, like, on elbows, crawling towards his prey.
Gotta
give it to him.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi.
Hello. Hi. First thing, thanks for leaving the legacy. All of us can probably attest to that. And best of luck tomorrow running. I don't know why you'd do that, but okay. My question is, if you could switch places with us who stand here and wait to talk to you and have your super fan sitting in the chair, who would it be and what would you ask them? And I also need to know, Jensen, what's on your queued up on your Spotify right now?
Why don't you take the first part of that question?
God. Alive or dead? Is this one of those sort of...
No. What would you ask if we were to go in the audience and...
Yeah, I'm saying, is this like one of those, if you could have lunch with anybody,
No. She's asking, what would you ask a super fan that was sitting on stage?
Your fan, yeah.
If it was...
You're a super fan.
What question would you ask your
I misunderstood
fans?
that question.
He's been training for a marathon. He's not firing on all cylinders.
I already didn't fire
His
on all
brain
cylinders.
hurts.
My brain hurts. God, that's a great question. Man, I've never had so many questions of what would your question be if you could ask a question.
They've run out of questions for us.
My question is,
They're now
what
asking
kind of
us
question
to
do I
ask
ask?
our own questions. You see what's happening here, right?
My question to you would be, has there ever been a question that you really hope someone would ask you? And if so, what is the question and what is your answer?
I'd probably ask a question to ask you a question, what question you would want to answer.
See, you know that I know that, and I know that you know that I know that, and you know that I know that you know that I know that, but the question is, but I wanted you to know that I know that you know that I know that. So would you answer the question with an answer, or would you question the answer with a further question?
Still got it.
What are you about to listen to?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about long and hard about what a question they really, because I do have questions for you guys, and one day maybe I could sit there and what? No. You want to come up here? I'm kidding. What do I have on? What am I? Lucas Nelson. Right now, I'm listening to Lucas Nelson. That's Willie Nelson's son.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin. Hi. I am a born and raised Chicago girl. Woo!
Me too.
So what is each of your favorite parts of Chicago?
Thought that was going somewhere else for a second. What's your favorite part?
Part of me.
Of going to Chicago.
I have a favorite. I used to have a favorite part of Chicago. I came here when I was a sophomore in high school, and this is actually the first place I ever professionally worked. When I was a senior in high school, I did a pilot, and it filmed in Chicago, and it never went. But this is the first place I kind of dipped my toe into professional acting. But I came here and competed when I was a sophomore in high school, and y'all still had the rock and roll McDonald's downtown. And this is, mind you, this is a 15-year-old kid out of San Antonio, Texas. You know, grew up in suburbia, and I wanted to go. I forget what the story was. We were here with drama, and we were eating at maybe the Rainforest Cafe or something. Yeah, and I wanted to walk to isn't it right next to the, okay, so I wanted to walk to the Rock and Roll McDonald's and take pictures because my mom had heard about it and wanted to see pictures of it. And so I told my teacher, I was like, hey, while we wait for the food, can I walk the 2 blocks? And my teacher's like, well, it's, like you don't really walk around Chicago by yourself. And he sent me with one of the seniors whose name is Sean Hall. And so Sean was, 18 years old. He was a senior. I was 15. I was a sophomore. And Sean was a little more savvy than I was. I think he grew up, in a bigger city. And so we're walking to the Rock and Roll McDonald's, and I don't think I'd ever really run across somebody who, on the street, who asks you for money, like, hey, spare some change kind of thing. And not a word of a lie, we go to the Rock and Roll McDonald's, take some pictures, and you remember you have to kind of like skinny up in all the little hallways and take memorabilia. And then on the way back to the Rainforest Cafe, sure enough, this guy approaches us and asks me if he can have $500. And my instinct, I was kind of taken aback. And so I responded with, I'm sorry, I only have big bills. To which Sean Hall just went, we're going, and grabbed me. And kind of like, I was like, that's really the wrong thing to say. And I feel like the guy, he gave me a very enigmatic look. I think he sort of was like, I probably should rob this kid, but he's just too dumb. Like, I'm just going to.
He's going to need those big bills more than I.
He's going to need those big bills to buy a train ticket home. So I think that area holds a special. I ended up going back there a couple years later with my parents when I shot the pilot when I was a senior in high school. So that kind of area, wherever that is, kind of pops up in my head.
I really like the Wicker Park area. There's a place over there that it's kind of changed a little bit, but it's still one of my favorite places. It's called Big Star, and it's tacos and bourbon. And I just never thought to really put those two together or marry those together as much as they have, and they found something beautiful. They have like a bourbon list that looks like a wine list, and you go up and you order your tacos, and it's really casual. And I just remember the first time that I ate there, I was like kind of dumbfounded because I've been eating tacos all my life, growing up in Texas, and I just never thought to put bourbon with taco, but it was amazing. And then I'll never forget, I went there, I took my wife there. It was me and Daniil and Misha. The three of us went and ate there a few years back, and real spicy food. From New Orleans, grew up like Cajun spices and all things spicy, and I do too. So a lot of spice in our house, and we also have a lot of spices. And she ordered these peppers that they serve there. And like you order like char-grilled serrano peppers or something like that. You just eat them. So this bowl of peppers comes out, and she ate one, and like things started changing immediately. And like she started crying, and she was like, oh my gosh. Woo! Two more layers to go, guys. Yeah, she kind of looked like this. Well, I was like sweating, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, these are the hottest things I've ever put in my mouth," and I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Food." And then immediately, because Misha didn't wait to see how it turned out, he grabs one and he throws. Anyway, long story short, cut to they're pouring water on their faces, and just like their whole face is just leaking and I'm sitting there going like, I ain't trying that. And to this day, I've never seen her react. And Misha can attest. He was like, it was like torture. Whatever they served them was not what they had said it was. Oh yeah, just pouring milk. Like, I mean, it was hilarious from where I was sitting. And so to this day, it's still one of my favorite places.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So I've been watching the show since it started, and I was 15 years old. And by the time it wraps up, then I guess I'll be 30. And I've really grown up with it. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm a teacher, and my kids do that to me all the time with stuff like that.
You just wanted to pay it forward.
Yeah, kind of, actually, yeah. And I've really grown up with it, really. And I was just wondering how you guys feel you've grown up with it and grown with it.
We've aged. I don't know if we've grown up. Boy, have we aged.
Yeah. We've grown up physically. We hit pause on the maturity level 15 years ago.
Long ago. Yeah, I think a lot for those of us who've been around for, 5, 8, 10, 12, 15 years with this show, a lot has changed in all of our lives. I mean, mine is pretty obvious. I started the show as a kind of single 20-something, and now I'm a married 30-something with kids and living in a different city, in a different state. And I went from a never was to a has-been all on one show. No, it's
You peaked about 6 years ago.
I did. I was going to say like 8 years ago, so you're being kind. Yeah, Misha and I have this conversation a lot. You start the show out, and your life is full of promise and your career is full of promise. And then one day you look in the mirror and you're like, man, I'm past my prime. It's I love you back. I love you back. By the way, the person who said that was like this. We love you. No, it's been a tremendous blessing. And I think there are many things that make me sad about the show ending. One of the things I'm excited about, if I'm trying to find a silver lining, is being able to look back and try to objectively kind of quantify all that this show has given me and provided to my friends and family and me. Hi.
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 My name is Marjorie. I'm from Michigan. I'm actually really glad she asked that question. I know that this show has an emotional impact on me and has gotten me through hard places in my life, and I'm sure a lot of people say the same thing. I was wondering how playing the Winchester brothers has affected the way that you perceive life, especially since throughout the show you've changed a lot, like you were just talking about in your real lives.
Yeah, I mean the change is kind of inevitable when you do something for 14, 15 years, and like Jared said, life was quite different when we started the show, and that it is today. But really, all things great. I mean, this has been a journey of a lifetime, playing not only this character, but playing this character alongside, friends that will be friends for a lifetime. And it is, like somebody said earlier, it is certainly, in my eyes, part of the legacy that I feel like I've been able to create alongside with Jared and Misha and our crew and our guest cast and all those involved and with you guys. And it's I would say that the character that I play has certainly affected my life, not just from being a part of Supernatural and all that's done for me and like he said, with family and friends, but just playing this character and taking this journey, this emotional and physical journey that he has gone through has certainly parlayed its way into my real life in certain aspects. We also get to use what we do as a escape. I get to dive into Dean Winchester and forget all about Jensen for those moments when the camera's rolling and I get to be this character and I get to tell his story and I get to use maybe emotions that I've got bottled up from my own personal experiences, and I get to exercise those as this character, and it's almost like a therapy session every time I get to go on set, and so I think that it's certainly affecting both professionally and personally, playing these characters and telling these stories, and it's one of the greatest experiences of my life.
Agreed. And I agreed 100%, and I don't remember exactly what it is that he just said, but no, what triggered this? I mean, I agreed what he said, but there was something specific he said. I can't remember what sentence it was, but not only, to go further with what he was saying, not only do I get to learn from Sam, as he gets to learn from Dean, but I also feel like Jared has learned to forgive himself a little bit more, because Sam has done some things that aren't entirely characteristic that maybe you wouldn't be proud of on paper, but he's kept kind of moving forward. And so I've not only learned from the things I respect about Sam, but I've also learned to forgive myself, much like Sam and Dean have forgiven Sam's, transgressions or whatever. So thank you for being a part of that.
Hi guys, how are you? So I drove here this weekend with my two best friends in the whole world, basically Misha and Jared to my Jensen, one of whom is right behind me in this question line, making me really nervous right now.
You should see the face she's making.
Well done.
Anyway, so 2-hour drive, we talked about a lot of different things in the car, and one of the subjects that came up that is fit to repeat in public, we thought, oh, this is a good question to ask the guys. So from a group of best friends to a couple best friends, what is your earliest childhood memory?
I remember I was.
What's like the first thing that comes to mind? I'm sure if you sat and thought about it, you'd be like, oh no, actually that was. But what's just like when somebody says,
Yes. I was.
boom, childhood memory,
Okay.
go.
I was swimming. I was in a race against millions.
Congratulations, you won. How's it feel to be a winner?
That's the last time. That's the only thing I've ever won.
You're all winners.
Come on. Yeah. Yes, yes. Let's hear yours, Mr. Smarty Pants.
That was the earliest? Nothing before that?
Nothing appropriate. I remember learning to ride a bike. Yeah, I must have been 8 or 9. Just kidding. I think I was like 3 or 4. And I remember my dad taking the training wheels off and running alongside me. And I pedaled until I fell. I must have been, I don't know, 3 or 4 probably.
I don't know. There's a few. I do vividly remember this because there was a stretch of time where I did this every single day, and that was get up and put my sheriff's cowboy hat on, my leather sheriff's vest, my boots, and a little 6-shooter cap guns. Every single day, they were like, it was like the gun belt hanging over the chair in my room, and I'd crawl out of bed and, I'd get all geared up, and I'd ka-ting, ka-ting, ka-ting.
He was already bow-legged.
I was. This probably explains the bow legs. And I'd go and sit down and just motor through a bowl of Cheerios, and then out the back door I went to play whatever kind of made-up, make-believe games kids played back then, because there were no video games, and there were no iPads. And I remember being outside all day and climbing fences and falling out of trees and using my cap guns and shooting squirrels and stuff. Obviously, the squirrel would be like, "You're an idiot." And then eventually I'd just hear my mom yell, and that meant it was time for lunch. So I remember those days. I remember that time period in my life, and that was pretty cool. And kids have a different childhood these days. It's a little different, but I think that was something special, growing up in an era without internet and electronics and all that kind of thing. And it's, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. I wanted to first tell you that I think season 14 might be one of my top three favorite season. I think it's just amazing. The storytelling has been so good. And I love that they've tried new pairings, Dean and Jack, and Sam and Cass. So what do you think that spending so much time with, Cass for Sam and Jack for Dean has changed in their characters?
I think I'll go a slightly different direction, where I feel like seeing with Dean with Jack was somewhat new, but I feel like seeing Sam with Cass was almost really fleshing it out. We saw on camera a lot of Castiel and Dean and them teaming up and them being paired off to do whatever they were doing, while Sam and whomever else were doing whatever, Sam and whoever else were doing it. So I feel like, you know, like we always talk about the episode we want to see is like, what about when they do their laundry? Like what happens aside from all this stuff and not just about doing laundry or whatever. I know a lot of laundry fans out there. Love me some Gain. Or Tide.
Are you a Gain man?
I am a Gain man. Proud to be a Gain man. Downy softener. A little sheet.
Use softener?
No. What are you, like, cardboard? I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I'm soft enough. I don't know, it just sounded good.
It sounded all right. I like seeing the flesh out of like what happens when Sam and Cass are hunting a case together or whatever. With Dean and Jack, I did feel like it was a new relationship. Whether or not it was just we didn't see a lot of Dean and Jack because by virtue of Jack hasn't been around for 10 years, or if it was the new Jack that has spent some soul and whoever this new version of Jack is. But I did like seeing the new sort of dynamic between them.
Yeah, I think those pairings when you start, you know, when the brothers go with different characters and stuff, you do get to see different aspects of those characters, you know, and I think that's very true to real life, you know, when you can be, you can really be a certain way with one of your friends and then you can be maybe slightly different with another group of your friends or whatever it might be, but I think you get to see different aspects of that character's personality when you put them with different people. And so I think that's always great. It's always great for the story. It's always great for character development. Even if it's not the Winchesters, maybe it's great for the other characters' development. Then they become a little bit more fleshed out, and then the audience understands them a little bit more and can maybe relate to those characters a little bit more because they've spent time now with the Winchesters that we all know so well. So it creates great dynamic and it creates opportunities for storytelling. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So I had a recent incident with my own kid that led me to wonder, what is the naughtiest thing your children have done that you could not laugh in their presence about, but you laugh every time you retell the story?
I feel like something happens like on a bi-weekly basis that I have to do this. Hey! No. I'm serious. Yeah, I think just yesterday or 2 days ago, a friend of mine came over and had a present for JJ, and she was sitting there, and he walked in, and he's like, JJ, I got you something. And it was this, like, toy or something, and she looks at it, and she just stares at it for a minute, and she goes, there's no pink on it. And I was just standing there, I was like, what? And then, boom, then full daddy lecture ensues about how it doesn't matter what you get, you always say thank you, and you know, blah, blah, blah. I was like, listen, he's like, well, what happens if there's no pink on it? Why would I say thank you? And I'm like, listen, kid, I'll march right upstairs, take every pink thing I find, and I will throw it in that garbage if you don't say thank you right now. And so she, of course, was like, thank you. And I'm like, mean it. Thank you. Great. But it doesn't have any shut up! Kidding, I would never say shut up. But it was it was one of those things where it was really hard for me to keep a straight face because it's just such a child thing to say. But it's not right. I don't want this. It's not pink. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, teachable moment, and I have nothing to teach her.
We got a call from our Tom's teacher this year. He's in first grade, and he was 6. It was before he turned 7, and apparently he had said a word in music class that wasn't welcome in the school. The word started with an F. Ended with UCK, but it wasn't fire truck. Yeah, and so we were like, okay, and so we get Tom home.
Wonder where you heard that from.
And so we get Tom home, and...
Me.
Yeah. Like, Tom, what happened at school today? And he was very obviously like, oh, it was good. Yeah? Anything happen? No, we learned stuff. Okay? What about music? Music was good. Did you get in trouble? Yeah. And we're like, okay, what happened? He's like, I said something. And I think, who knows how it happened? But he's like, well, one of my friends called me cow or something. I think they were saying stupid stuff. Who cares? And anyways, we were finally like, Jen and I discussed like, how do we go about this? And we were like, we're gonna make him say it to us. Like, what did you say? And he's like, and he looks to us like, I'm gonna be in trouble if I say it. And so we're like, listen, buddy, you can say it to us. We need to hear what you said. You can't say it anywhere else. You can say it to mom and dad. We're asking you to tell us. And so he says it, and I think Jen, the way he was like, is this a trap? Like, and so he says it, and Jen and I both kind of like under the table, like grabbing each other's legs, like, don't laugh yet, don't laugh yet. Like, and why did you say it? He's like, I don't know. And we're like, so can you say it anymore? And he goes, and he said it again, thinking that we were asking him to say it again. And we were like, no, I mean, are you allowed to say it anymore? Not say it again, but are you going to say it anymore? He's like, no. We're like, all right. But it's just a funny, because I don't know what to do. I've never been in that position. So stuff like that when they're saying words. And we also we don't baby talk around the kids. Like, they know.
Clearly.
They know the anatomical word for different parts of male and female bodies. And, like we'll bathe Tom and Shep together, or we'll be changing or something, and we say, like, this is called this. We're trying not to make a stigma of it to where it becomes a big deal later. But now our 2-year-old, it's called what it is. But now our 2-year-old will say it when she wants to be provocative, and she'll look around like laughing. So, and you have to remain stone-faced so that they don't get a reaction, but it's really difficult because she knows it's going to get a reaction, and she's kind of looking around. So that's 2 of the things that pop up in my head that are G-rated enough to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm fairly sure that there's one word in there that actually makes it an R rating. No? Yes.
No, it's PG-13 these days.
Maybe in your world.
I think it's PG-13 these days.
You might be right. 2 times, and Tom said it twice.
He did say it twice.
To be fair, he said it 3 times. Once at school and 2 in front of you. So
he's already rated.
He's NC-17 now.
Hi, how are you?
Yikes.
Hi, Jared. Hi, Jensen. My name's Natalie. And we know Sam and Dean have a baby, and other characters have their kind of iconic cars. If you two were hunters in that world or in the real world, what would you drive?
A tank.
Great gas mileage. Those things.
Hey, because a 502 gets so much better.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, we need to. I would want like a James Bond car type thing that had missiles in the side and ejector seats and could go underwater and be invisible. Give me some gadgets.
Yeah,
I need
the Hunter world is full of lavish.
I need Q up in here. It doesn't have to be a fancy car, just something that has cool, like, remember Spy Hunter, when you'd have like the Cutlass Classic that could smoke screen and oil slick? Did no one play Spy Hunter? God, I'm old.
I know Spy Hunter. What are those? Oh, God, I can't think of the name of them. I think they're kind of like these big. They're almost like four-wheeling vans. They're like German. No, not a Hummer. What?
Pinsgauer?
No. I almost want to say it's like they call it like a U-boat or it's like a. Oh. No, it's a submarine, but.
Which would be awesome.
Which would be.
With
I
wheels?
want a U-boat on wheels. That's. Fire torpedoes?
That's my point.
Okay,
That's
all
what I was saying.
You got a good point. I don't know. The Impala is really hard to beat. It really is. You know, I think the only way that you could kind of maybe just from a cachet standpoint make an upgrade is to have like a really good pickup truck where you have a cover over the bed and that bed opens up and you just got a whole whack of weapons. Like John's truck. Yeah.
Or Sterling's. Didn't Sterling have a truck like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd have to be something with to make a bigger cachet. So, what about what?
An iPod.
An iPod? I don't know that those.
Tripod. I guess he means for a mounted gun. I was gonna say that wouldn't
I'm
go
like,
very
I don't
fast.
know. What about Uber? It's like that Tom Cruise movie where he like shows up and he gets in the cab with Jamie Foxx. Yeah, Collateral. He's like, all right, you're my driver today. We're gonna go kill a bunch of people. What?
That's right. Be easier to travel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey.
Hi. So I have two quick questions. Number one, how do you get so tall? And number two, what's the most fun you've had on set and who was it with?
Great questions. I eat a lot. Always have. A lot of milk. Otherwise, it's just a genetic deformity that made me so tall. Most fun I've had on set. I think in the 14 years we've had so much fun with so many different people. I had a lot of fun falling in love with my wife. That was great. And then I've had a lot of fun meeting some of my friends that'll be friends forever and ever, and having a lot of times to kind of enrich and build our friendship. Yeah, Jensen.
Well, if you're looking to get tall, so just do what Jared does. He goes home. He has a contraption that just stretches him out, and he just stays like that. Yeah, sometimes he just hangs by his feet like
Usually,
Batman.
yeah.
You know. But yeah, you're gonna want to eat a ton, and then stretch out. The most fun, I would say, we've had a lot of fun over the past 14 years, and I'd say some of the most fun that I personally have had has been in the moments between filming when we have the ping pong table set up and we have very heated games and they wait for us on set because we want to finish our game, or we're playing.
You know what's fun is
or we're flying drones and crashing them into the side of the
first
soundstage.
fall day where we go out either with baseball mitts or with
or
a football.
and start throwing the football, or we used to have these little motorbikes that we'd like do races and stuff, and so a lot of downtime when we're filming because there's a lot of setups that are required. So he and I have always tried to fill that time with very entertaining things, and we've had a lot of fun doing that over the years. Yeah, thanks, pal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This last
Is
question.
it the last question?
Yep.
It's the last question.
Okay, this is it, right?
So this is the very last question.
The very last question.
It's the last
There won't be
question.
another question past this one.
It's the last
This
question.
one's the last one.
It's the last
I think I got it, Rob. Here we go.
It's the last question.
And this is it.
It is the last question.
The very last one.
It is the very last question.
We're wrapping it up.
It is the last question.
It's been pretty fun.
Got it.
That's it.
All right, SBN family, meet Amy. Amy, say hi to your supernatural family. We all love Amy. Okay, so Amy, you are our last question, so it better be good because there are a lot of people and it's snowing outside.
It's a blizzard outside. So basically my question, wow, there's two mice. Okay. My question is actually...
I was fixing your hair.
Oh,
it's also a comb.
Oh, nice. Works great. Awesome. Okay, so my question is for both of you, but mostly for Jensen because of his character. How much of the time...
I'm taking my comb back.
Sorry. So how much of the time do you guys actually eat the food on set compared to how often you use the spit bucket?
We've gotten very good. I have had to get good at it a lot quicker and have to utilize this a little bit more, this technique. But if you go back and you watch earlier seasons where our characters are eating, mostly mine, you'll notice that throughout the scene, just shoveling food into my mouth, which is funny. It's awful after about the fifth take. So what I've started doing now as you look at later seasons, I maybe take one bite at the beginning of the scene, and then I'll just kind of not eat the rest of the scene, but have like the pizza in my hand, and you do some of these, you'd be like, right. Well, wait a second now. If I do. I've had to, the old right. Yeah, no, I get that. But wait, if we're gonna go that, okay, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
He's also master's level in fitting the shape of his teeth into the already bite of the shape of his teeth. So if he has a hamburger, he'll take that first bite.
Oh yeah. So I'll take one bite for like one. I go take two, and I'm like, yeah, no, we're still good with this one, and then I'll just be like this.
Yeah, it's the same, just biting into the already bitten hamburger. There's still a perfect bite.
That's good.
Just chewed air.
Yeah.
I got one for you. Earlier this season, you had to eat, and you were prepping food while you and Alex were having a conversation in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do you want to do? And you're like, I want to be making a taco out of spaghetti. I'm like, okay, it's your show, man. And you did the whole thing where you never did the bite because you did the whole. You're prepping, you're holding it up, and then you're exasperated. You prep some more. So it was very much about food.
The food was in the scene constantly, but food is never in the mouth.
Yeah. So the comedy was what you were making and how you're relating to it, but you never committed to having to do the thing.
Because then, and sometimes I have to commit. Like sometimes it's just like, listen, I'm gonna have to eat this, and I just suffer through it. And there's very few times when I'll actually need a spit bucket, but hey, the things we do for our art.
Well, if you ate everything, you would be 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Probably,
yeah.
at least.
This is true.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
And thank you, SBN family.
Woo! That was the last question. That was the very last question.
That was it. That was the last
That was
question.
the last question.
No more questions.
That was the last question.
That's it, man.
Very last question.
Take us home, boys.
That was the last question.
Yeah, that was it.
That was the last question.
And it was about food.
That was the very last question.
Jensen overeats.
That was the last question.
And spits a bunch of crap out. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Mr. Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki.
Here I go.
By themselves.
Going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. Just another heart in need of rescue.
Somebody rescue Robbo.
Waiting on love's sincerity.
Somebody give him some money.
And I'm gonna hold on up to my day. Yeah, I know what it means to walk alone, lonely street of dreams. Here I go again on my own.
Robbo solo.
Going down the only road I've ever known.
Doesn't know a lot of roads.
Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone. Thank you, Chicago!
Thank you.